Language is what makes us human. Imagine your life without your mother tongue. Your life would be unrecognizable. The language you speak is one of the most important factors in determining your life. Your life is who you communicate with, and language is the medium through which you do so. The Balkans are a mountainous region in southern Europe. They have been historically split between empires and spheres of influence. The Byzantines, the Venetians, the Austrian Habsburgs, the Ottomans, and the Nazis all controlled land in this region. This led to the region being relatively religiously diverse compared to other regions in Europe. The Byzantines championed the Eastern Orthodox Church, while Catholic Habsburgs and Venetians pushed for their religion. Then came the Ottomans, who conquered the Byzantines. They spread Islam throughout the region. Linguistically, the whole region from Slovenia to Bulgaria spoke a similar language. This Slavic language group was generally mutually intelligible with each other. I will call this language Serbo-Croatian, but there were no formal boundaries between languages back then, and only Bulgarian really started to separate itself. There were many efforts to standardize and unify the language, but none of them were successful. There were two main camps, the Croats and the Serbs. They butted heads on many issues. Script choice was very contentious. Croats wanted to use the Latin script, identifying with Western Europe, and Serbians wanted the Cyrillic script, identifying with Russia and Eastern Orthodoxy. The two identities were largely defined by their religion, and they saw any leeway as moving away from their religion. The Muslims in the region that spoke Serbo-Croatian, now Bosnians, didn't have a distinct identity yet, and they generally identified with either Serbs or Croats, depending on the context, like family history or geography. After World War I, the Kingdom Yugoslavia was founded. This included countries from Slovenia, Croatia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Serbia, Montenegro, Kosovo, and Macedonia. In practice, this kingdom was Serbian, though. They had a Serbian king. He pushed for the language to be called Serbian. Then World War II happened, and the Nazis exploited this divide, giving power to the Croatian nationalists who carried out many atrocities. In the aftermath of World War II, Tito gained power, promising national unity through socialism. This worked for the most part and was the longest period of peace in the Western Balkans in modern history. Not much progress was made on the language unification front. They opted to not touch the problem after a few failed attempts. This peace eventually came to an end. Tito died, and the other socialist nations started to go through heavy reform. First, Slovenia declared independence. Then Croatia followed. The ensuing wars would kill upward of 100,000 people. The majority of the violence took place in Croatia, Serbia, and Bosnia. Bosnians, the majority Muslim Slavic group, began to formulate their own national identity during the second stint of Yugoslavia. The war only accelerated this. Yugoslavia was no more, and along with it went Serbo-Croatian. In its place now, Serbian, Croatian, and Bosnian. Bosnians, after the Yugoslav wars of independence, wanted to strengthen their national identity. They did so by doing the same thing the Croats and Serbs have been doing for centuries. Claim your slightly different dialect is an entirely different language. All this religious and political fighting led to Serbo-Croatian being split into multiple languages. While many of these languages are mutually intelligible with each other, they are only separate languages to reinforce national identity. Language is a tool that could have been a unifier, but ended up being used to exclude and wage war. Let's check out our other example, Germany. Germany today is unified, but before Napoleon, it was a loose confederation of many small monarchies and duchies. Similar to the Balkans, Germany was also religiously divided. Many Protestants and Catholics lived in the area. They all spoke German, just not the same German. Small differences grew as you got farther and farther away. The language acted organically and was more of a gradient. A farmer in Bavaria would be in practice speaking a different language than a merchant in Hamburg. There would be some mutual intelligibility, but it'd be closer to what we see with Arabic right now. How someone from Morocco speaking Arabic would not be able to understand someone from Syria speaking Arabic. They would be able to understand the bordering countries, though. This was the case for most languages back then. Germany was like many other regions until Martin Luther. Martin Luther translated the Bible. By doing this, he kickstarted the centralization process for Germany. This translation laid the groundwork for language standardization. Germany had a much easier experience unifying. Prussia defeated Austria in a war and became the dominant power. And within 5 years, Germany unified through diplomacy. Germany was only able to do this because of their already strong sense of national identity, thanks to their language being already somewhat standardized. This allowed for the creation of custom unions and the flow of trade and ideas. These ideas included revolutionary developments like quantum physics, communism, and nationalism. This is all happening when the Serbs and Croats are still arguing over which script to use. The sense of German national identity is so strong it was used to start 2 world wars and unify Germany twice. Now, there are many different factors at play, but you can't ignore the stark contrast between the Balkans and Germany, and specifically the role language plays and how well it illustrates the difference between the two. This analysis of the relationship between language and national identity reveals the importance of language when it comes to nation building. We see that German-speaking people were able to unite and communicate with each other effectively due to their language standardization being ahead of others. The Croats and Serbs couldn't even decide on a script for their language, and then over 100,000 people died. Language can either divide or connect people. It's important not to push for assimilation too. It's a balancing act that no one has mastered. Do you sacrifice your national identity for peace and assimilate? Or do you fight to preserve your national identity and language, even if it could result in war?